Scared you, didn't I? Thought you went to sleep for a second. Come on, try it again. Good afternoon. I'm prior military, so I tend to get a little loud and a little intense. My name's Jeff Clark. I'm the Executive Vice President of Business Development for DealerOn. I do want to say a special thank you. It means an awful lot that you guys are taking time out of your afternoon to spend with me, so I hope the next 45 or 50 minutes can be enlightening. Open your eyes to some things. I'm going to challenge you. I'm going to poke fun at you. I'm going to show you things that you know exist. You just haven't quite realized how bad it really is, okay? Ready to have some fun? Good deal. And by the way, I am not your traditional presenter. I'm not going to stand here and show you PowerPoint slides and say, now do this and do that. It's up to you to take the information that I share with you and ultimately do something with it. Here we go, folks. The fixed operations business, which we all know and love, is a $300+ billion a year business. Billion. Dealers capture roughly a third of that business. Can we get more of that business? You bet we can. Dealer profit and website content. Now, before I go to this next slide, show of hands, how many of you in the room can tell me definitively how many pages of content you have relative to service on your website? How many? 6? It's pretty good. Anybody else? I'll venture a bet that most of you don't have more than 2 to 3 pages. Fair? Whose fault is that? It's my fault. It's the industry's fault. We haven't helped you. We haven't given you the tools. So what you're going to learn today is going to help you go back, assemble this content, and put it all together and start to execute on it. Here's the reality, folks. According to NADA, 53% of a dealership's gross profit comes from service. I always argue that the service department is the one that pays the bills. Agreed? Correct. However, your website, on average, has about 2 to 3 pages of content. Now, if you make more than half your money from service, but less than 3% of your website is dedicated to the very profit center that keeps your doors open, does that make any sense? Of course not. It's a rhetorical question. Makes no sense at all. So why haven't we done anything about it? We haven't done anything about it because we're focused on what? Selling, selling, selling. You're here to do what? Learn how to sell more cars. When a vendor comes into you and says, hey, hi, I'm Jeff Clark. Really nice to meet you. What's the next thing I typically tell you? I'm going to help you sell more cars. I don't tell you anything about I'm going to help you retain customers. I don't tell you anything about how I'm going to help you do more with a customer. Is it easier to retain a customer or go out and get a new one? It's easier to retain one, correct? They already know you. They know your service department. They know your people. Do sales and service play well together? Of course not. They are fundamentally encouraged not to play well together. Dealer principals want parts to do their thing, service to do their thing, sales to do their thing. Hell, the used car manager oftentimes doesn't like the new car sales manager. And yet you got 3% of your total website content out there telling your story. Americans are keeping their cars longer. That's not good news for us in the car sales business, is it? Why is this happening? Why are cars being kept around longer? Better built, better engineered. Toyota dealers in the room? Right? Ford dealers in the room? These cars are tremendously solid and reliable these days and oftentimes only require routine maintenance, not major service. But we as an industry haven't adjusted to that, right? In 1995, people kept a car an average of 8 years. Today, fast forward 2011, that's the most recent statistics we have, people are keeping cars 11 plus years. 11 years. I'm visiting you once every 10 to 11, sure.
The 11 years, that's not an average. Is that just like the longest?
That's the benchmark today. When they look at registrations, vehicle registrations across the US. Average vehicle is showing in these databases for 11 years. It changes ownership, right? Car gets traded and sold, whatever. These things are staying around for 11 years. Google fixed ops searches are up 400% in the last 5 years. 2007, we had about 120,000 searches a day for something service related. Today, 620,000 searches every single day take place on Google for fixed operations. Fixed ops is 2 of the 6 highest traffic local categories. Restaurants number 1, auto parts number 2, auto repair and service number 6, automobile sales number 9. Those are the 10 most popular search categories that exist on Google today. How much website content do we have? 3%. People are keeping their cars longer. We stink when it comes to putting a web presence out there for our service department. Searches are up. 3 categories are automotive related out of the top 10. Huge opportunity for us.
That's 36,000 miles.
I'm out of here!
My warranty just ran out. Good thing I have you boys.
When the warranty runs out, just come in. Pep Boys does everything a car dealer does for less. Brakes, oil changes, and maintenance. Pep Boys ASC certified technicians will diagnose and repair your vehicle at the lowest price, guaranteed.
Pep Boys does everything for less.
But what did you notice in there? What did they say? Does everything a dealership will do for less money. Manny, Mo, and Jack, right? Here's our competition today, gang, right? It's the Jiffy Lubes, it's the Firestones, it's the Pep Boys, it's the Sears Auto Service Centers. And I have tons of these videos that I can share with you, but if you go out and Google them, these are national branding campaigns with millions of dollars behind them that are telling consumers, we do everything a car dealer does, but we do it for less. Are these factory parts they're putting on a vehicle? No. Are these factory trained technicians? No. Did they mention that in their ad? No. Okay. But again, we don't have the content to establish to tell people that we use factory parts. Is that important? Is factory components on a vehicle important? It's hugely important, but we don't tell consumers that. And here we are, the little bitty guy in the middle, right? I would argue no one knows your vehicle better than the very dealership that sells it to you. What typically happens at 336? 3 years, 36,000 miles. What typically happens? Warranty's up. Where's the customer? Gone. Unless they've purchased an extended warranty from you, they will leave you. Why? Perception. Click-through rates by SERP position. You guys know what I mean when I say SERP position? Search engine rankings page, correct. The top 3 positions control 60% of all the traffic on a website. How many of you feverishly, every single day, go to the dealership, get on the web, and look for yourself? Tell the truth, come on, raise your hand. You obsess with it. My website company sucks. I'm not any higher, right? You're constantly beating yourself up trying to get higher and higher and higher in the search results. Anybody know the percentage of people that ever leave the first page of Google? Would you be shocked if I told you it was less than 10%? Would you be surprised if I told you it's less than 5%? It's 2%, folks. If you're not on the first page of Google, less than 2% of consumers will take the time and effort to go find you. Dealers are absent on Google for service. Oh, Jeff, that's not true. When I type Toyota Camry, Augusta, Georgia, I show up. Bless you. Right? You have become pre-programmed and pre-trained to find yourself, have you not? right? You've been conditioned to do it. Consumers are not going to do that, are they? Think about it. Some of the best dealers in the country at fixed ops are on page 3. Now, if only 2% go to beyond page 2, what's the chances you're going to go to page 3? Right? Think about it. Local service, search for brake. Brake service. Jeff, that's not fair. Guess what? More than half of all searches done are unbranded searches. They're generic in nature. Oil change, tires, brake jobs, battery replacements. They are generic in nature. Okay? When you look at this, brake service, now, more and more and more today, you will notice that Google tries to render what to you? Local content. They want to give you businesses in places that are local in your proximity. Google knows where you are at all times, right? Search for oil change. Again, dominated by the independents. Surprise, surprise, zero presence. Search for car battery replacement. Again, no surprise, zero presence. Okay? The SERP percentages and national brands versus dealers very simply equate to this. If you take every search engine ranking page that exists within Google today, this is how they stack up. Firestone dominates the market, Jiffy Lube, Pep Boys, Midas, and here we are, the retail car business at less than 5%. So think about it. 3% of your website is content, right? Searches are up 620,000 per day. You're lucky to be found on page 3. Less than 2% ever come off of page 1 and go to page 2. And of all the pages that exist within Google today, we as an industry have less than 5%. That's alarming to me. Turnaround from search to purchase is quick. Why? Unlike the car business, which can take weeks to get a customer to buy a car from you, why do you think service is such a quick turnaround? Because it hurts. Right? When things hurt, what do? You address them. You deal with them. If your brakes are squealing, if something's smoking, something's burning, you got a problem. You're incentivized to immediately deal with it. 70% of people make that purchase the same day. 70%, same day. No delays, no nothing. They get it dealt with. I love this next quote. When I first saw it, I was like, wow, man, that's harsh, right? How many of you remember Blockbuster? What happened to Blockbuster? Here's what happened to Blockbuster. Mr. Keyes got a little bit arrogant. What'd he say? He said, neither Redbox nor Netflix are even on the radar screen. Not worried about them. Blockbuster filed for bankruptcy and restructuring? You bet they did. Because we're the big bad wolf. I would argue and I would challenge you to say that we have the same arrogant, egocentric attitude as dealers. Oh, they're going to come to me. I sold them the car, right? It'd be interesting to know how many cars that you sell never service with your dealership. You ever ask yourself that question? Right? Sales floors doing a fire sale, right? Everything's triple net, out the door, out the door, out the door, but we do nothing to ensure that that customer is well introduced to our service department. How many of you set the first oil change upon delivery? Right? How often does that first oil change ever actually take place on the date that it was scheduled? Pretty rare, right? But what have you done? You've taken the first step to introduce them to your service department. I'll tell you a little story. I go through cars like my wife goes through shoes. So every year and a half, I get an itch and I go buy myself a new toy. And one of the greatest ownership experience, any BMW dealers in the room? All right, if you've ever owned one, their service is unbelievable. Never mind the fact it's included. Any Lexus dealers in the room? Okay. I had an experience recently. I took the Lexus 2 cars ago I had, and I took it in for service, and I had never been in this dealership before. I knew their chief marketing officer, and that's the only person I knew. I had a meeting with him. It was convenient. I needed to get my oil changed, right? I pull up into this beautiful facility. They don't know me from Adam. A young lady walks up to me, and she says, "Good afternoon, Mr. Clark. Very nice to have you here." And I'm like, "Nice to be here." Within seconds, and I mean within seconds, they took me in, made sure I had something to drink. The service advisor came to me. I didn't go to them. And they took me to the lounge. And I disappeared. I went on my meeting. I come back. My car was as clean as the day I took delivery of it. There's 2 of those little cute mints that they give you sitting on the console with a handwritten note that said, "Thank you very much for your business. Yvonne." Now, you have to imagine in my position and what I do for a living, I need to be careful of singing praises to one dealership over the other. I was so impressed, I was so blown away after 20 years in this business that I went home, I got on my Google Plus account, and I wrote a stellar review. And I actually called the dealer principal. Never met the guy a day in my life. And I said, "I got to tell you, wow." It meant so much to him that him and I have now struck up a rapport and a relationship because I want to learn how they did that. I want to know how I can take that and teach that to other dealerships. Now, granted, way over the top, might have even freaked some people out. But the fact that she knew who I was, the fact that, and they had never seen me before. There was no history of my car in the database, no nothing. I didn't buy it from the dealership. That right there sold me. You know what? My next vehicle wasn't a Lexus. Guess where I bought it from? Bought it from them. I was that impressed. I was that blown away. I would challenge all of us to rise to that level of service. How many of you have ever gone to a restaurant and had a so-so meal, but the service was exceptional? Did you go back? Of course you did. Wasn't the waiter or waitress's fault that the meal wasn't good. But you loved that they couldn't do enough for you. They appreciated your business, right? That matters. I would challenge all of us to think about that because you know what? There's too much of this going on today. There's way too much of this going on. We tout ourselves, we pat ourselves on the back, and we pride ourselves about being customer service focused. We're customer service focused, we're customer service focused. We're customer service focused because we have to be. Most of us want to do the right thing, but we oftentimes fall into a trap of just doing what's expected of us, okay? Now, I'm going to poke a little fun at this dealer. I've blocked out their name to protect the innocent, okay? But this is a very large Honda dealership in the metropolitan Washington, D.C. area, okay? You go to their website, you go for service content, this is what you get. One page, days, hours of operations. I assume that this means that they have a quick lube lane. I'm going to assume the picture in the middle means they sell tires and accessories. And I'm going to go a little bit further out on a limb, and I'm going to say to the right that I can buy a bug shield. Ladies and gentlemen, there is no excuse for this, okay? None. If this is your website, go home, pour yourself a stiff drink, cry, and then fix it. This is not the way to wow people, because you know why? I'll show you why. This is what you're up against. Number one, customers already think that you're too expensive. They already think the dealerships are untrustworthy, right? They've been told by national branding that we do everything a car dealer does, but we do it for less. They go to your website, right? This website right here, and then they go to Pep Boys. Remove what you do for a living, put your consumer hat on, which website would you engage? Right? What's on this website? Tons and tons and tons. And you've heard it at this show. What's the word? It starts with a C. Content. I would argue that we are adverse to content. Why? Because it's problematic to put it all together, isn't it? Then you're worried about duplicate content. Can you get it from your vendors, right? How many of your dealerships sell accessories? How many of you have that accessory information on your website along with photos and descriptive information? Very good. Okay. Anybody have any idea what the accessories industry does overall? Volume-wise, SEMA? Anybody have any idea? $700 billion. Any idea what the average truck buyer in America spends on a truck or an SUV within 90 days of purchase of that truck or SUV? Close. Almost $3,000. $2,900. How much of that's profit? 60%. That's more than you made on the damn deal. Well, what'd they do? They got the truck, they left, they went to a local jobber, and what'd they do? They did tonneau covers, they did bed liners, they did bully bars and brush guards and KC lights, DVDs in the headrests for the kids, right? Did you ever offer it to them? At any point during the sale, was it ever offered? Guys, if you offer it, if you sell it, where should it be? It should be on your website. Okay. All right, Jeff, all this sounds good. How do I fix it? Well, a lot of things I'm going to share with you cost you $0. Some of the things I'm going to share with you are going to cost you money. Okay? One of the theories that for years had been talked about is, why not build a separate, standalone service website? Anybody in here have budgetary control at their dealership? Your wallet's puckering up right about now. You're just like, God, Jeff, no more money. I can't afford it. I don't want to spend it. I can barely manage what I have now. Whether you step out on a limb and do a standalone website, or whether you actually just beef up the content that you have, you're going to be heading in the right direction. Most of the people that visit your dealership, why? Service department, right? Wouldn't it make sense to build something that caters specifically to their needs, right? Big dealer group, Baltimore, Maryland, has 72 of these. I know because I built them. And each one of them is specific to the brand. Each one is specifically represents the dealership, right? It's loaded with content, right? Now, this is what it looks like. Back here is their actual website. Here is their service component, okay? I see a few ladies in the room, so I'm going to ask this question, and I know it's loaded. How many of you live for that Bed Bath & Beyond coupon? My wife loses her mind when that thing comes in the mail, because I'm guaranteed to end up with $100 of crap that I don't need. But man, is she happy about it. She came in the door a few weeks ago, honey, I said, what? She goes, I saved $74. I said, wonderful. I'm thinking in the back of my mind, well, you spent $100 on a bunch of crap I don't need, but you're happy, so wonderful, right? People love coupons. They love discounts. They love incentives, right? Do we offer coupons at our dealership? Sometimes. How do we oftentimes offer them? Good old-fashioned direct mail. Let's go kill a few trees. Keep the postal employees busy, right? What oftentimes happens to those coupons? Trash can. Because the timing isn't necessarily aligned. Now, my wife goes out of her way to make sure the timing's aligned, because that coupon's got an end date on it, right? Same thing's true here. If your dealership does not have service-related coupons, do yourself a favor. Sit down with your ad agency, sit down with your digital agency, sit down with your marketing people, and guess what? Build them. Copy them. Repurpose them. Steal them from another dealership. I don't care how you do it, right? But people love a discount. They love a bargain, do they not? Right? That's why loyalty cards work. That's why all these other things work, right? Make sure that you utilize them. Service scheduler, show of hands. How many of you have a service scheduler on your website? Excellent, congratulations. Time Highway, all right? Service schedulers are one of the greatest things to happen to the service industry in a very long time, right? However, you still want to make sure that you're taking them somewhere that gives them more information beyond just their appointment, okay? These schedulers are huge, and offer them to them in multiple different ways. Offer them at the homepage and offer them once they're within the website, okay? Increase phone ups. Make sure that you have a unique number to your service department. Consumers are inherently lazy. They'll call the first phone number they find, and then they'll ask for the service department. Use educational videos. How many of you have new or used car video on your website for the purpose of selling? Great. Any customer testimonials on anyone's website? Anybody? Okay. Buy yourself a flip cam. It's relatively easy to do. And make sure that you not only get the sales testimonials, but the service testimonials as well. It's significant. And make sure that you have consumer-centric video for other products, right? How many of you have ever been standing in the service lane when a service advisor comes out and says, I'm sorry to tell you this, you got a $2,700 RO. What's Jeremy's initial reaction? Beyond holy shit. What's he immediately say? Why so much? Honest response, right? Do yourself a favor, have content that tells the story and remove yourself from the situation. Because number one, now all of a sudden he's just been asked to spend $3,000 that he didn't plan on spending. His emotions are heightened, and you might very well be the bad guy. You don't want to be the bad guy, do you? What you want to do is explain to people why. Why so much money? Okay? Videos can oftentimes help ease that pain and explain to people why something is $2,700. Let's not focus on our $115 labor hour rate. Let's focus on why it needs to be done and what's important about it. There are a number of great companies out there that have very specific repair videos that are available. You don't have to have the whole library, but you know what? Changing out a head gasket is not cheap. Why? You got to tear half the motor apart. That's where the labor comes in. That's where the cost comes in. All right? This becomes a prime opportunity for the service department to not only get a service RO, but ultimately for the dealership to put the consumer in a new vehicle. Any dealer principals and GMs in the room, really think long and hard about how do I now incentivize the service department to help the sales department. Let's get away from the adversarial relationship that's existed for decades, and let's move towards compensating and incentivizing people to help get someone out of the service lane. Because ultimately, the customer's got to do one of two things. They got to fix the car, or they got to buy a new one. Let's make it easier for them. Multiple videos explain maintenance topics. And you can also, guys, get brand-specific videos. There are companies out there today that will offer you video of a Chevrolet being worked on if you're a Chevy dealer and a Toyota being worked on, all right? There's also very generic video you can use, okay? Video increases search engine footprint. How many of you clearly noticed that once you put videos on your website, that your time on site went up? Absolutely, it goes up. It's much easier for people to watch a video and share a video than actually reading the content, okay? Videos for any routine service are key, especially the most basic of ones. And again, there are manufacturers out there that are now doing more to supply video content to their dealers. Mike Rowe. Anybody watch Dirty Jobs? I love that show. Anybody know that Mike Rowe is actually a classically trained musician? How's he make his money? Crawling around doing stuff that none of the rest of us want to do. But what does he appeal to? He appeals to our customer. You change your socks, don't you? Why wouldn't you change your oil? Simple message, but it's powerful. Why? Because the guy we all like and want to sit down and have a beer with is telling us, pay attention. It's important. Ford My hat's off to Ford corporately. Ford has done a great job. Most manufacturers look at service, yeah, okay, great, but did we sell more cars? It comes from the manufacturer as much as it comes from the dealership. It's important. You heard me talk about coupons again. It's huge. What is the number one, and I just gave you the answer, search term with anything service related on the web today? It's the number one word. Coupon. What's the number two word? Discount, right? Coupon, discount, coupon, discount, coupon, discount. We are pre-programmed to look to save a buck, right? It's harder and harder today to raise kids and to pay for things. We're looking for a discount. We're looking for a coupon. As a retailer, it's incumbent upon us to give these to people. You can easily install opcodes in these coupons, and you can track. You can track the number of coupon prints. How many of you, show of hands, have either an iPhone, a Galaxy 3, or smartphone device? How many of you have even gotten to the stage where you are too cool and you don't print your boarding pass anymore and you use your phone? Think about it, guys. We try to automate everything that we possibly can, right? Stop sending direct mail for a service initiative as your only platform to connect with a customer. Direct mail is a good thing. Please don't mistake it. I can see it now. I was in Jeff Clark's session. He said, direct mail sucks. Direct mail is actually a good thing. But don't use it as your only tool. I am one of those guys that has made his living in this industry on the technology side, and I absolutely love it. And you know what I think about? I think back to the day when Cobalt was the cat's meow of websites, and there was really no competition. Now what's happened some 20 years later? You're here at a digital conference. Wow. Okay? People are using smartphones, they're using iPads, they're using devices. We are becoming an automated nation. However, I will tell you, even today, as proud as I am of this industry, we are still 15 years behind the times. And you're like, Jeff, no way. If you doubt me, come sit down and talk with me. I'll show you some sites that'll blow your mind. In industries other than automotive. We could learn a thing or two from the people at these companies because you know what they've figured out? They've figured out things that we haven't even talked about yet. You know, Google has a complete history of every search you've ever done on a computer, both good sites and bad. They know everything. And I mean they know everything. All of you have heard about behavioral targeting, retargeting, right? Influencing things. Do you find it weird sometimes if you'll go to something and all of a sudden something you looked at weeks ago pops up on your screen? You're like, but you've cleared your cache, you've cleared your cookies, all's good. Guess what? You can clear away. We still know it. Okay? People are delivering content to you. Why? Because it's things that they believe that you're going to be interested in. They want to give you the very things that you're asking for before you're asking for it. It's important. One of my good friends sitting in the room here, I won't point him out, is someone that I think the world of. And as I was coming up through the ranks and working into the industry, I always watched how he interacted with dealers. I watched him build some very successful businesses, and I'm very proud of him and his company today to see what they've done. He went dark on me for a while. I didn't see him, I didn't hear from him. I called him up one day. I said, what are you doing? And he told me, and I almost fell out of my chair. I said, get out of here. He said, yep. I said, holy crap. You're going to turn the industry on its ear. We know things today about you as a shopper that you can't even possibly imagine. Imagine the power of having that at your fingers to be able to engage a customer. I go to your dealership and I submit a lead on a Sorrento, okay? But I disappear on you. I go away. You're going to chase me a week or two, maybe 3, maybe 6 weeks, maybe every couple of months you'll send me a mail piece. Maybe even you'll call me, right? But for all intents and purposes, as a retail car dealer, what's happened to you? I've lost you. Would you be interested to know if I went and looked at a different car at a different dealership? Would that be valuable to you? Would you be interested to know if I'm shopping another brand? Would you be interested to know that I'm no longer on a Sorento, but I'm on a used 3 Series BMW? It just so happens that he has 3 in stock. Would that be powerful to brand back to the customer, to say to the customer, by the way, don't know if you're still in the market for Sorento, but we also happen to have a wonderful selection of 3 Series and other BMWs. Send the customer a quote. Think about that. What if we could actually be proactive and communicate to a customer before they have a chance to come back to us? Think we'd sell more cars? Think we'd spend our money a little bit wiser? You better believe it. The technology, ladies and gentlemen, exists today. It's readily available and at your fingertips, right? Harness the power, the brilliance that has become the auto industry, and look at these tools. Now, that may be a little bit advanced for you at this stage, but know that it exists and know that you can work towards it to be successful. Also, do not be afraid to justify your price. We do it in sales all the time, do we not? Here comes the TO. So Jeremy, if I can get this car at this price, are you ready to take it home today? We are so conditioned to TO everything, to sell the deal, but we're not conditioned to explain the price of our service. Is a factory part more expensive than an aftermarket part? Why? Quality, better parts. Don't be afraid to justify this, folks. Right? It's okay to say that you're more expensive for something, but oftentimes, you know what I found in doing my research and having done this for years now? Dealerships are oftentimes less expensive than the independent repair shop. Plus, you've got the dealership in the comfort of knowing that it's much more important to the dealership to make sure that you're happy than it is the independent repair shop. So don't be afraid to post your pricing. We're going to bore you with another video here real quick.
At Jiffy Lube, we're highly trained in more ways than one. From oil changes and tire rotations to bird calling. We also have access to vehicle manufacturer recommendations to service practically every make and model. You could say we know vehicles like nobody's business. Over 20 million people count on us. Visit jiffylube.com for deals in a location near you.
Now, something that Pep Boys can't do, something that Jiffy Lube can't do, I guess they could, but to create a personal relationship with you. Now, my father, God rest his soul, was a Chevy man. He bought the same cars from the same dealership and the same sales guy and had the same service technician for as long as I could ever remember. Wouldn't take it anywhere else. Set in his ways, right? Now, Brian here, 33 years working on a Honda. I can tell you that's the guy I want working on my Honda. Why is that important? Why does that matter? You better believe it. How many of you are very proud of where you went to school? High school, college, right? I keep getting those damn alumni letters. They always want donations. I feel like I should have my own wing at this point. But what's important is it's a community, right? I bet if I started rattling off baseball teams, I'm going to see a varied number of hands of people that follow the Braves and the Yankees and Boston and other things. Let's stop being just a service technician, but let's be a friend to the consumer, and let's tell a little bit about ourselves. How many of you have kids in sports, right? I oftentimes share this with people that we are so stoic as a business, it's almost nauseating. We don't tell our story. Oh, I don't want to brag. Well, shit, I do. I want to tell you why my dealership's wonderful. I want to tell you that we support local sports teams. I want to tell you why we care about the community. Now, I am a veteran. I served 10 years in the United States Navy. I am a 2-time cancer survivor, and I love my kids more than life itself. So if you are a dealership that supports veterans or our service members, if you are a dealership that supports sports teams, whether you support breast cancer, testicular cancer, or whatever it may be, or whatever charity you give to, that matters to me as a consumer. I can buy my car anywhere. I have a choice of where I want to buy my car. But for me, as an individual, that matters to me. If your dealership supports causes, community causes, sports teams, autism, whatever it may be, don't be afraid to build a page to talk about it. It's not bragging. It's telling your story and it's helping others relate. I once asked this one time when I was doing a session. I had about 300 people in a room. And I said, show of hands, how many of you have in some form been touched by cancer? And I can tell you, it was alarming the number of hands that were raised in the room. And someone looked at me and they said, Jeff, you're a cancer survivor? I said, not once, but twice. It creates a bond. It creates a community. It creates things that no sale, no customer service, no anything you're ever going to do will create and will pay dividends well beyond what you can possibly imagine. I'm not abdicating that you run out and all of a sudden throw up 50 philanthropic pages on your website. What I'm saying to you is, be human, tell your story, tell people why it's important, tell people what your dealership does and what it stands for beyond just selling and servicing vehicles. Once your site works, you can start driving traffic. Cool car, right? If your site doesn't work, do yourself a favor. Don't spend money trying to drive traffic to it because you're only going to upset the consumer. 55% of service-related searches are unbranded, right? Generic in nature. Do paid search for fixed operations and make sure that you have service-related keywords, okay? Now, the next thing I'm going to show you here, again, I'm going to poke a little fun. This ad up here, what's that search say for those of you that can see it? Service my Ford F-150. Any ambiguity or vagueness about the intent of that search? No? We're all pretty clear? Okay. Here's the ad. 2012 Ford F-150. Buy happy from Maury's and get a lifetime powertrain warranty. Guess where I just drove this customer? Right to the vehicle details page. Did I ask you to sell me a truck? Did I say anything about buying a truck? What did I ask? What'd you tell me? Well, we got a large selection of F-150s. Come on down. Now, what have you done? You've annoyed them, you've wasted your money, and you've lost a customer. And it cost you money to do it. Now, you know what? I'll bet a nice dinner that this dealer has no idea that this happened. Why? Because they're not paying attention. There's an easy way to fix this, right? There's a very easy way to fix this. Radiator flush Ann Arbor. Let's talk about good and great ads. Here's a good ad. Tires Ann Arbor, Bell Tire. Get the lowest prices in town on name brand tires, okay? Here's a great ad. What makes this ad great? You know, I'm like a happy papa sitting back here because y'all are just rattling off what you see and what you like, right? You see it. You better believe the customer's going to see it. I got 4,000 plus reviews and I got a 4-star rating. That's pretty darn good, right? Guys, this is how you want to spend your money. If you're going to spend your money telling a story, make sure that you do it well. Fair enough? Directions, reviews, stars, other categories, right? Great ad. Local extensions make ads locally relevant. How many of you belong to part of a dealer group? Show of hands. Does one store really care about the other one? Frankly, it's competitive, right? But I bet you the dealer principal cares, right? Here's an interesting thought. When you are part of a collective larger group, when you can highlight that you have other stores, what have you just done? Well, number one, you've exposed your business to the opportunity of doing more. Additionally, with that, what you've also done is you've given a customer options and opportunity. I may live in one place, but I may work cross town. If I know that you have a facility cross town, it might be easier for me to drop my vehicle there for service. Does your dealership have the ability to service cars other than what it sells? Do you tell anybody? Vaguely. Well, yeah, we can work on that. Chevy dealer doesn't go out of his way to brand Ford and vice versa. 4 times the ad space in terms, increased click-through rates, rich ad format, dynamically associates relevant businesses. This is the key of where you want to go, guys. Automatically get these markers. I'm going to have to wrap up here, but if you guys want to catch me in the hallway, I'll certainly answer any additional questions that you may have. Expansion reveals multiple locations. If you are part of a larger dealer group, do not be afraid to show that and highlight that on what you do, okay? If you're going to get into the service initiative, make sure that you build specific pages and drive the customer. You saw a second ago the F-150 ad, right, where it took you. Take people and deep link them directly into a page that talks about the service. Guys, mobile has blown up. 30% of all maintenance queries are now done on mobile. It's up 5x in the last 24 months alone. Here's the slide. If you don't pay attention to anything else, you need to pay attention to this one. Mobile is 1/3 of all dealer traffic. Within the next 24 months, it will surpass desktops. Why do you think Google is going crazy with the Droid? There's a war on mobile right now. If you do not have a mobile site, get one. Talk to your service providers. Regardless of who you're with, they should be able to help you. Click to call and call only formats. Important piece of note for you, if you can create ads that are click to call, when people are using mobile devices, they're typically not carrying a pen and paper. To be able to click directly on that number and get connected is convenient. You want to make sure you have click to call formats. Mobile service ads outrank all organic. If you're going to spend money on pay-per-click, make sure that you're spending it on service. Guys, next steps. This is your walk away. Start to invest in your fixed ops. Bring your site, standalone or integrated, to near parity with what you're doing on the sales side. These are huge. Make sure that you do that, okay? Start doing paid search, create local fixed ops ads, and build an effective mobile service site. Guys, it's been my genuine pleasure to share this content with you. You are more than welcome at any point to catch me. I'll answer anything I can for you. Thanks and have a great show. All right?